What would you say were the major challenges that you had in looking back you had to overcome?
Um, so everything sort of started for me because I was studying interaction design, and when I started the course, which was 2006, it was a really exciting point for interaction design and for technology. And like that first iPhone had just come out and people loved how the iPhone unlocked, or the Xbox 360 controller, people loved how that sat in their hands. And I felt like we were really exploring all these different ways to use technology. And by the time I got halfway through my course, everything had become about smartphones and about these little screens we carried around in our pockets or sat in front of all the time. And so that was where the sort of seed of frustration came from. And I thought, we've lost the interest and the excitement in exploring other ways to do things. And everything's just become about these little devices. And yes, it's cool now, but what's that going to look like in 10, 20 years' time when we live our lives with these things in our pockets, and our children are growing up with these things in their pockets all the time, and face down on screens all the time. And like, bear in mind, this was nearly 9 years ago. So this was sort of right at the beginning of smartphones becoming mainstream. And at the time, nobody, like, I just sort of saw this trajectory that just didn't look that good in terms of human connection and how we experience each other and experience technology. And everybody else just seemed very caught up in the excitement of the technology, and nobody seemed to be thinking about what that might turn into. So that was the first point where I started to think, I want to do this differently, or at least try and alter that trajectory slightly. So I think even right from the beginning, I was sort of I was going a different way from everybody else, whilst the world was really excited about what technology was doing and capable of, and what other things we could connect to the internet. I was on this different path. So, and that was a sort of continual theme that continued to present itself, even in terms of like technology. Like the first version of the product, the technology wasn't really there yet for what I was trying to build. The Whilst lots of people did want the product, the general consumer approach, not approach, the sort of general consumer mind frame wasn't there yet. So I was building a wristband 3 years before the first Fitbit, when people thought we would never wear technology on our wrists. And I think like the reason I started the company was because it was my university project. It went viral on the internet, and I had all these emails from people being like, "Oh my god, we want to buy this. We love this. We need this." And I I never set out to run a company. I set out to make this thing that these people wanted and give it to them. And whenever things were really difficult, or it felt like everything was going wrong, it was those emails and the constant interest I would get from those people that would be like, "This would make such a big difference in my life. We really need this. Hurry up and make this." Those were the things that got me out of the dark moments. That doesn't answer the question, does it? You asked what the biggest challenges were.
Well, we'll come to it or whatever. But no, I think it's fascinating. It's really interesting, and to think that I was going to ask you where your drive came from. Is this something that what role models have you had, or have you just gone for it and just sourced all your energy from within? I mean, an awful lot of leaders, when you look back, had a particular relationship with one or other of their parents, or they had a role model that really inspired them. How about for you?
Probably my dad, actually. My dad runs his own company as well, so I grew up in an environment where, like, my dad was his own leader, and I had I was thinking about this earlier. So my dad's also an engineer, so he's always I'm one of those people that's sort of half creative, half technical, which is like a blessing and a curse. I think I was a wildly creative child, and so I sort of grew up with this. On one hand, I was always told in a house that like anything is possible. I always knew that, was told that, believed that, but at the same time, the engineer, my dad, has always been like, yes, but like, how are you going to do that? Or like, be practical. So, that's been helpful because I now tend to think quite big, but also I'm a realist. So